right, here we go. Ask me anything. Let's go, Matthew.
First question here is, what do you like most about Canada?
The snow. I love the snow. No, uh, I don't love the snow. Listen. Montreal's an awesome place to live. I love the city. It happens to be in Canada. My favorite cities in Canada, Vancouver. Well, Montreal, then Vancouver. But yeah, it's not a whole lot different than being back home, honestly. When it comes to you know us enjoying our freedoms like we do in the U.S. and in Canada. But yeah, it's just a great place to live. Fresh air out here in Terrace Vaudreuil, where I live, beautiful. Being close to Montreal, being able to go downtown, the restaurants, everything about it. Yeah, I enjoy living here. Canada's it's a great place to live.
And did you live in when you played in New York? Did you live in New York? And when you played in Boston, did you live in Boston? And
Yeah,
how
well,
does
yeah,
that?
I didn't live downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, Boston. I lived outside. Same with New York. We lived outside of the city. So, yeah, yeah.
Next question is, Chris, do you do any freshwater fishing? Quebec has some awesome native trout.
Yeah, I do. I bass fish and walleye a bit here, and then musky fishing in the fall. But yeah, I do quite a bit here in the summer and in the fall. I love to. I don't do any ice fishing. A lot of people ice fish. That's kind of a drinking game, and where I don't drink, I don't care. Plus, even if I drank, I wouldn't want to ice fish. You go out in a little hut, cut a hole in the ice, freeze your ass off, unless you got a potbelly stove. Most of them do, but yeah, I love to fish when the weather's nice, not so much when it's shitty.
So this one is, did you end up hating the Habs when you played with the Bruins? Who was your biggest rival when playing against the Habs?
Um, Playing against the Habs,
Yeah.
played when I was playing with the Habs. Who was my
No,
biggest rival?
when you played with the Bruins and
With
against
the
the
Bruins?
Habs, maybe I think they mean like a
Well,
player.
when I played with the Bruins, the Habs certainly were the biggest.
Mhm.
Hartford was a pretty big one because it was New England. There was a little bit of a rivalry there, but I didn't hate the Habs when I played against them. I mean, I didn't like them, and I wanted to beat them, but I didn't hate them. That's for sure. But I played hard for the Bruins when I was there, the short time I was there. But yeah, I never hated the Habs. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. Before I became one, I hated them.
So the next one is, are you more of a Team USA or a Team Canada fan? And any interesting stories with players or coaches who you knew who played for either teams? And have you ever wanted to visit Australia?
I'd love to visit Australia someday, but yeah, it's a long way. I have no reason to go there. I mean, I would love to see it someday, but not like I would hop on a plane and go all that way. I go not quite halfway to Hawaii, and that's far enough for me right now. But I'd love to maybe one day go there. Um, and the other part of that question, Matthew, was
Are you more of a Team
I,
USA or a Team
oh,
Canada fan?
USA, yeah, not Team Canada. I honestly, come on, I'm an American. I pull for the Americans whenever they play Canada. When um, when the USA, if they get bounced out, I certainly like to see Canada win. Then I like to see them do well then, but that's the only time.
And they also said, do you have any interesting stories with players or coaches who you knew who played for either Team Canada or Team USA?
Um, no, I mean, you know, I guess one story I can think of was uh, when I was trying out for Team USA. Uh, Bob Johnson at the time was the coach, and uh, they were looking at making cuts, and they end up cutting Brett Hull and kept me. And Brett Hull didn't like that. He said, "Can you imagine that?" And I ended up going on and scoring 2 goals in the tournament, which was cool. So I did more than just play tough. I chipped in offensively too. But yeah, that was kind of funny because Hull actually, I think he was quoted later say, "Can you imagine they cut me in? They kept Nyland, but you know what? They fucking cut him. He was out of shape. He was fat and out of shape. That's why he got cut." So he probably didn't deserve to be there.
I know one episode that we have that talks kind of about Team USA and like the World Hockey Classic a little bit is the one with Brian Galvin. He kind of explains some stories and like what they do over there at USA Hockey. So this one's about the Canadiens and their off-season plans. Do you have any dirt on Cole Caufield's possible contract extension?
No, I'm not one of those guys who do scoops and dirt and all that stuff. All I know is that they're gonna sign this guy. They'll get him signed. Certainly with the way the salary cap was structured here when Bergevin left, some of the contracts he signed were horrendous for this team moving forward. They're going to find a way to get Caufield signed. I know you look at the Bruins, where they are in the team, the season they had and everything, but, some guys have taken discounts, like Bergeron and Marchand, to, hopefully sign some more guys. A guy like Pasternak, who certainly got a big payday, but, they're going to pay him. And that contract will get done, but I don't have any dirt. I'm not one of those dirt guys, like I said.
Now, you just said like the guys on the Bruins are taking pay cuts. Do you think Caufield will end up having to take a pay cut in this contract to stay in Montreal?
I don't think so. I mean, they're going to find a way to get it done, and where both sides are happy, I'm sure. Listen, if those contracts, like the Gallagher contract, a couple other the Price contract, those contracts, those big ones that kind of hurt this team moving forward, I believe that they're going to find a way to get it done. And if they didn't have those contracts and they weren't up against the cap like they've been, I certainly think that contract would probably be done by now. But they have to be careful with it, and the way they structure it and the amount of years and money and stuff, but I don't think it's going to be a problem.
So this one is what I would consider a very tough question. And if you were playing in the Bruins versus Habs alumni game, which team are you playing for?
Habs, all day, every day.
Would you have any consideration to play for the Bruins, or it's always the Habs?
No, I mean, if I'm going to play for the alumni, I would play for the Habs. I spent more time here. I was in Boston a year and a half, so no, I wouldn't consider it.
What would be your all-time best Canadiens lineup and your personal favorite players to play with on a Canadiens lineup?
My all-time lineup, I put Patrick Roy in net. Defense, Doug Harvey, Larry Robinson. Up front, Jean Beliveau, Guy Lafleur, and Rocket Richard. There you go.
Now, if you had to make a lineup with your favorite teammates on the Canadiens, who would be on it?
Okay. Who would be on it? Chelios on D, Larry on D, Cabo in the middle, no, check that, Brian Skridland in the middle, and this is a toughie. On the left side, I think. Well, I'm gonna go Cabo I'll put him on the wing. Well, it's Screwy on the wing, Cabo in the middle, and then me on the right. That's it.
So, which arena was the best to play in, other than the Bell Center or the Forum when you played, and which one was the worst one to play in?
God, let me think. My favorite rink to play in, honestly, was the Boston Garden. Loved playing in there. I also, believe it or not, liked playing in the Colisée in Quebec City, the Nordiques. I love playing in that building. It was great atmosphere, always intense games. So those, I'd say Boston, Quebec. And as far as buildings, I didn't like to. I guess the old building in St. Louis. I couldn't stand that place. Not a fun building to play in. Let me think. Is there another one after that? Yeah, but really, that old building in St. Louis was brutal. I even forget the name of it, but yeah, I didn't like that place.
Where does the Forum compare to the Boston Garden?
It's all time best. I just, Boston Garden, the Forum, those two buildings, they were awesome. They're just awesome old buildings to play in. Forum was incredible. If you love your pet like I love my St. Bernard Adele, you'll want to feed them a balanced, biologically appropriate raw diet. The reason I've chosen Formula Raw is because all blends of their food are locally sourced and they consist of exclusively human-grade meat and organs, as well as fruits and vegetables. And all products used are hormone and antibiotic-free. So like I said, if you love your pet like I love Adele, you choose Formula Raw. Make sure you go to formularaw.com and use the promo code RawKnux at checkout to receive 10% off your first order. That's RawKnux, RAWKNUX.
So, playing in the Charlie Doyle League, I noticed Moreland players had a bit of equipment from New Jersey and Montreal. Any idea how they got the equipment?
I have no idea. I have Charlie Doyle League. I have no idea. I didn't know there's still a Charlie Doyle League. I think the Charlie Doyle League was back when I didn't know there was still one. And as far as Habs equipment or Jersey equipment, no idea.
Someone had to have handed it down to a cousin.
Yeah, I don't know.
A sibling. Snag some gear, and now they're all rocking it in the league.
I don't know. The Charlie Doyle League, it was kids when I was there. It was like we were peewees. So I don't know if there's a new Charlie Doyle League or what, but certainly, yeah, I don't know where they got that equipment. Maybe it fell off a truck or something. Mm-hmm.
Who was your favorite roommate on the road?
Carbonneau in Montreal. In New York, Ron Greshner. And in Boston, Craig Janney.
Did you always try to room with the same guys on the road, or did it
wasn't
change up every
not
trip?
up to me. It wasn't up to me. It was up to the coach, whoever made the list. But yeah, Cabo and I were together the longest, Montreal, and then Gresh was fun in New York. We had a few laughs, and Craig Janney certainly in Boston was good roomie, great roomie.
Have you ever gotten your roommate and known in the back of your head I'm in for a night tonight?
No, never. Yeah, it wasn't that way, But they roomed me with Vladimir Rosiska when he first came to Boston, and he couldn't speak any English, and that was kind of funny. All he did is want to drink juice out of the hotel bar in the room, and watch cartoons. So he could learn English.
Is that a bad thing, the cartoons?
I don't know. I just, last time I watched cartoons when I was a kid, So,
as a rookie in college, the AHL and the NHL, was there any initiation you experienced, and what is your opinion on it? I think you touched on this the other day.
No initiation. I didn't like it. I didn't believe in it, and no one ever initiated me. It wasn't going to happen. And if it did, there would have been a problem. So, smart choice to leave me alone.
Yeah, I remember you telling the story the other day.
Yeah.
I think it was your rookie year, and they tried to do something to you, and you're like, "Nah,
Oh, they were
it's not
talking about
happening."
it. One guy was
Yeah.
talking about it in a big way, Steve Shutt, but never happened.
Yeah. So the other thing that we were talking about.
And
doing
by
this
the
week-
way, I like what they do today. The rookies have to take everybody out for dinner, and you know that even got crazy after a while, right? The amount of money guys were ordering like $5,000 bottle of wine or something crazy. So I think they've kind of capped it a little bit, but who knows? I mean, that can be even a little crazy. So I think they've, not as they didn't go as overboard, I think, now as they did at the beginning when that new thing kind of started, all the rookies. Or if there's only one rookie on a team, coming in, but that's changed. A lot of times there's more than one rookie, and
Yeah.
they share in that cost. So anyway, I think that's a lot better than shaving some kid's head and putting hot stuff all over his balls. Not good.
Yeah, my buddy plays in Buffalo. Matthias Samuelson. He was saying his rookie year that there was definitely some big checks on those rookie nights out. He said he had to drop a lot of dough some nights.
For sure.
Yep, and the other thing that we wanted to do was the NHLPA did a player poll a couple weeks ago, and they asked the players a bunch of questions, and I wanted to see what Knuckles' answers to these questions were, and see how he lined up with the players in the NHL.
All right, so we'll start right at the top, right?
First question is, if you need to win one game, who is the goalie you want on your team?
Now, current players, right?
Yes,
we're not going
players.
past.
And also, if you threw in some throwback players too, I think that'd be pretty cool.
I go Andre Vasilevsky, current guys, and back in my day, Patrick Waugh.
So 52.3% of the players that were asked this question said Andre Vasilevsky. And Igor Shesterkin was second with 4.8%.
Yep.
So the next question is, in a must-win game, which forward do you think would be most impactful?
Yeah, I got to go with Connor McDavid. Just the speed, the ability to score goals, it's everything, Yeah, I go with him. Listen, Sid the Kid, yeah, he's done it already, but I think I'd go with McDavid. And I guess
15.
back in my day, I go with Guy Lafleur.
59.3 of the players that were asked this question agree with you, and they said Connor McDavid. And in second place with 11% is Sidney Crosby. And you said, you want him on your team to impact the game. How do you think he's played so far in the playoffs, and do you think the Oilers have a legitimate chance to get into the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I picked the Oilers for that. So yeah, I picked them to be in the final, but we'll see.
Who is the top defenseman in the game?
Top D-man right now, God, I love that McCaw. Hedman, when you talk about that all-around big D-man, offense, defense, but McCaw, I think with his speed, Erik Karlsson had a unbelievable year, there's no question, but I think I'd take McCaw. Yep,
players agree with you there too. 63.9% of the players picked McCaw.
And back in my day, I'd have to say, well, fluctuated, but Ray Bork, always right at the top of the list.
Next question is, who is the best stick handler?
I got to go with Patrick Kane. Yeah, great hands, great vision, all that. And, McDavid right there, but I'll go Patrick Kane.
Yep, those were the top two. 46% said Patrick Kane, and then 28% said Connor McDavid.
And back in my day, I think Craig Gianni had unbelievable hands and really, not the fastest guy out there, but boy, he had hands, soft hands, and he could dangle.
Who is the best passer?
Oh, I got to go Kucherov. Guy is like, he can thread the needle. He goes cross seam. Yeah, he's just got a vision there and an ability to throw saucer passes, forehand, backhand. He threads the needle like honestly no other. I don't. I guess Kane you could put in there, but I go Kucherov.
So this one, they said Leon Draisaitl was the best passer in the NHL, 25%. Patrick Kane, 13%, and then Kucherov comes in at third, 10.5%.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going Kucherov all day, every day.
Who is the most complete player in the NHL?
I'm going Patrice Bergeron, and I say that because, man, just everything: leadership ability, face-off, man, offense, defense, plays physical, and not that he's a fighter, but if he had to fight, he'd be fine. I could see him, and I don't know how many fights he's had, but if he had to, I'm sure. Some of the other guys on that most complete player list, he could probably beat all of them. So I'll go Patrice Bergeron.
Now, do you think he's got a lot of pressure this playoffs with the point record this season in the Bruins?
Yeah, you got to get in the game first, So we'll see what happens.
And who was the most complete player when you played, do you think?
Geez, complete player. I really, God, that's a tough one. I'm thinking, I can't think. Maybe guys I play with, Bob Gainey, when I think a complete player, but, all around. I mean, Victor Tinkanoff called him the best all-around player in the world 1 year. But, yeah, I put him right there, Bob.
So the players for this one said Bergeron in second place, 18.8% of the votes, and then Sidney Crosby in first place with 30.1% of the votes.
All right, cool.
Which player do you least enjoy playing against but would like to have on your team?
Well, I'm going to say Ratko Gudas. How's that? I don't think anybody in this NHL, and I'd be surprised if he's not on that list, because this guy
is not on the list.
Absolute misery to play against. So he's not even on the list. I don't know what these NHL players are thinking. Brad Marchand,
he's
I
one.
get
Yeah.
that. I get it. But, Ratko Gudas, I'm sure, is like the most miserable guy to play against in the NHL.
And what about when you played? Who did you hate going up against, but you wish they were on your team?
Well, guys like Linsman, Dale Hunter. I'd say Dale Hunter the worst. The worst.
How come? What made Dale Hunter the worst to play
Yeah,
against?
he was just a prick to play against. He was a prick. He was always doing something, jabbing you. He was tough to play against. He could score. He could hit. He did everything. He was miserable to play against.
Who affects the game the most around the NHL?
Who affects the game the most around the net?
Yeah, around the net. Sorry.
I'm going to say Joe Pavelski, and I'm going to say around the net, like guys who play in tight. Chris Kreider in New York, probably two of the better guys in around the blue paint.
Yeah, and Pavelski's, we had him on the podcast, 2 months ago about, and if you haven't checked that episode, go check that out. And the next one is, who is the most underrated player?
Underrated player in the NHL. I'm going to go with a guy that probably no one even thought of, or I doubt he's on the list. Andrei Kuzmenko. He's in Vancouver. It's his first year in the NHL, and he is 44th in scoring this year. He had 74 points, 39 goals, 35 assists. No one's ever heard of this guy. But out of the top 50 players in the NHL, top 50 in scoring, he has the highest shooting percentage at 27.3, which is a great number. The closest guy to him when you talk about shooting percentage is Draisaitl, and he's 21.1. Now, Draisaitl only had 247 shots. Kuzmenko only had 143. But that shooting percentage, man, that's unbelievable. 27.3, consistent. Give him the puck, chances are, got a very good chance to score. So underrated, I don't think many people have really heard of him outside of Vancouver. His first year in the NHL, 27-year-old rookie, but that's an unbelievable shooting percentage, really good. So I'm going with him. I would say Sebastian Aho, but it's because he plays in Carolina. He's not. If he was, I think it was in New York or Montreal or one of those teams, he'd be certainly out there more. But Aho could be a close second.
So I kind of talked about the arenas around the NHL earlier, and which NHL arena has the best ice?
Well, that's hard for me to say because I don't skate, but I know a lot of guys like the Bell Center and Edmonton. Back when I played, had the best ice, and I'm sure they're still pretty damn good. They're right up there.
Yep, 1 and 2, Bell Center, and then Rogers Place. They're both
Cool.
1 and 2 still. Yeah,
there you go.
And that's all the questions for the player poll.
All right, Maddie.
You were pretty spot on with a lot of the answers there. A couple ones were different, but you agreed with most of the players.
Yeah. Listen. I mean, I guess the most underrated could be the shocker of them all. But looking at what the guy's done, 27.3 shooting percentage, unbelievable. And the kid came over from Russia, 27 years old. So cool stuff.
And who's the most underrated guy when you played?
Oh God, Jesus, I can't. It's
a pretty big question.
Yeah, there's so many. That's 13 years. To really think of underrated guy. Maybe a guy like Rob Brown. He had 50 goals, I think, once in Pittsburgh with Mario, but he was an underrated guy. A lot of guys didn't not know about him, but I think they just thought him as kind of average player, but he'd always score goals. So good stuff. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Raw Knuckles Podcast. Please like, follow, and subscribe.